bring in North Dakota Governor and former Republican presidential candidate Doug Burgum. Governor Burgum, always good to see you. Appreciate you making the time for us. A current president under fire and a former president, both at the border at the same time. Biden is trying to paint himself as the problem solver here. Your reaction to the contrast of what we heard and what we saw on Thursday?
Well, Tom, great to be with you. And on this particular issue, I've had an opportunity to serve as governor under President Trump, and I've had an opportunity to serve as governor during the Biden administration. And the approaches couldn't be any different. I mean, from day one, President Trump, back in 2016, he was taking executive action, doing everything he could in his presidential power to make sure that he was doing the job of the federal government, which is national security, which includes border security. President Biden, during his first 100 days, he signed executive orders to stop building the wall. He signed executive orders to stop doing Remain in Mexico and other programs that were actually working. And so now it seems that Biden's primary strategy on the border in an election year is blame the Republicans. Yeah. When he's had 3 years, and here we have, it is a mass invasion. It's over 10 million people we know of and millions more that we don't. And then we're taking mass casualties. Every 7 minutes, an American dies of a fentanyl poisoning. Mm-hmm. And that fentanyl's, coming over the southern border. The cartels, I was just down there 2 weeks ago visiting North Dakota National Guard troops. I've been to the border more times than President Biden has in his time in office. And it is complete chaos at the border right now. And Biden, it's too little, too late. And when he says they need more resources, there's over 800 positions open in the Border Patrol right now. They don't need a law from Congress to fill those. They just need to have leadership in an organization that people would want to serve in, where they would actually get to do law enforcement as opposed to processing paper, literally paper. That's what we're asking our Border Patrol to do now, to be part of this onslaught of people entering our country illegally.
Yeah, and you can't recruit people to serve in a service like that unless you're going to empower them to actually do their jobs, and the Border Patrol agents certainly are not. You talked about the body count, Governor. These visits by the two men are happening just a week after the brutal murder of University of Georgia college student Lincoln Riley by an illegal immigrant. Trump made very clear that her death is emblematic of the larger tragedy that has occurred under Biden. Biden is continuing to avoid discussing her. And if you can see here on the screen, these are Americans that have been killed by illegals in just the last few weeks. And these are just the ones that we know of. Governor, if this crime was committed by a white American citizen against a black student at the University of Georgia, do you think Biden would be talking about it?
Well, absolutely. That's been their pattern. And here we are again, when we talk about taking the mass casualties and what a change this is. In 2016, President Trump was ahead of everybody on the issue of the border, but it was largely about immigration. And he controlled that with executive orders. And now this is an issue of national security, and it's an issue of public safety. And your list that you just put up is the tip of the iceberg. Yeah. And when I was at the border, and we've got a record number of people on the terrorist watch list entering our country, as tragic as all these individual incidents are, the probability that we're going to have a 9/11 type event sometime in the next decade because of people that came through, when you've got people coming into our country from Syria, Iran, Russia, China, into our country, being let go free, no record of where they're going in our country. Iran, they're the world's largest funder of terrorism. You think they don't think it's a great thing that they can have a terrorist cell just walk into our country and set up shop and operation to do a strike against the U.S.? So whatever you're showing, this is bad right now. It's a public safety issue. People should be afraid, and because that the border is open, but it could get actually worse than this. I mean, Joe Biden has a job as president to provide national security. He's not doing it. Americans are paying with their lives every single day in this country.
Governor, President Biden had signaled that he wants to work with Republicans and Donald Trump to get this so-called bipartisan border deal passed. He had very harsh words for people who have called him out for blaming climate change for the crisis. Listen to this.
The idea there's no such thing as climate change. I love that, man. I love some of my Neanderthal friends who still think there's no climate change. Well, my administration is going to keep building on the progress we've made fighting climate crisis.
climate change. That seems to be the priority. Do you think people, Governor, are buying this claim that he has no responsibility for this border invasion?
Well, it's crazy. He's blaming the Republicans now. I mean, a few weeks ago, when they came out with the Hur report, he's blaming his staff for the reason that he ended up with a bunch of documents that he shouldn't have had in his garage after he left office as vice president. I mean, real leaders take accountability. President Trump said, I'm going to build a wall. He built nearly 500 miles of wall. He said, I'm going to help control the border. He did. Joe Biden is looking for people to blame. And if he's going to blame climate change, we don't have to agree or disagree on climate change, but we can all agree that the approach of the Biden administration in response to their concern has been to try to kill the U.S. energy industry. And when you try to kill the U.S. energy industry, you hurt global environment because America produces it cleaner, safer, smarter, better than anyone else in the world. And when you try to shut down U.S. energy and then lift the sanctions on Iran and Russia and Venezuela, you're actually causing more environmental damage and you're empowering dictators to fund terrorism. And so his solutions are what's really the threat to the planet, because the Biden administration, if you want to have all EV batteries, then we're going to buy them all from China. China's the world's biggest polluter in the world. I mean, it makes no sense, not physics, economics, not environmentally.
Governor, somebody's making money on this. All right, so my last question for you, I'm going to shift gears to Super Tuesday. Just days away, former President Trump has a healthy lead over former UN Ambassador Nikki Haley in a number of these swing states. Governor, you were on that stage earlier in this process. How does the party unite following what may be the end of this primary season that we're going to be witnessing on Tuesday?
Well, it's important. Every day that everybody's not united behind President Trump is a day that Joe Biden is successfully having to not defend his horrific record on economy, energy, national security, border security, you name it. And so the sooner the better. I mean, the primary's over. I had an opportunity to be with President Trump in Iowa, in New Hampshire, and in Nevada on those stages. And I said it each time, the race is already over. It was over then, it's over now. It'll be over on Super Tuesday. And we're having a caucus on Monday ahead of Super Tuesday in North Dakota. So he will sweep North Dakota on Monday before he sweeps all the other states on Tuesday. And we've just got to get focused on beating Joe Biden and making sure Joe Biden's a one-term president.